Swinging a high drive into center field. Hits at the wall. It is gone! Costas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied!
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
What's up? Welcome back to Play Tessie. It is episode 230. I think, hey, we're 10 away from 240, if you know what I'm talking about. This is the official Red Sox podcast of WEI. Before we get going, hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. Rate 5 stars. Find us on WEI's YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up on all of our videos, which are in the Play Tessie playlist there. And find us on the socials at Play Tessie on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Just Gordo and Pat here today. Sammy, is Sammy in San Francisco?
I think so, yeah.
I forget what he called it. What did he call? Oh, he called it the
Armpit of America. The Armpit of America.
No, I think he called it the anus of America.
Did he? Maybe he did.
What's the armpit of America? Isn't that Florida?
New Jersey. It's New Jersey.
Oh, you're right. It's New Jersey. He's definitely not in Jersey.
No. So maybe he did say anus.
He said, yeah, whatever. I know he notoriously thinks San Francisco is trash, which if you leave the area surrounding the ballpark, it is, but don't tell that to Raffy Devers. Speaking of Raffy Devers, Pat, we'll just get right into this. We're going to pick up right where we left off last podcast because we finished the last podcast. I think it was you specifically that said that you were happy to put the Raffy thing behind you. And I said, wait right there, because I said, we'll put the Raffy thing behind us if they're playing well. But I'm telling you, every time they don't play well, every time they don't hit, we're going to look right back on that Raffy Devers trade, think, what could this lineup be with Devers? Hell, even if they're playing well, if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, it's a good run, but what could it have been with Devers? It's just, I don't know what it's going to take to put it behind us. Like in 21, they played well enough and they made the postseason, they made a deep run, and we didn't talk much about Mookie in 21. It's going to take something like that, I feel like, to get past the Devers thing. But I'll tell you, when they hit a little bit in the first game of the series, more so in the first inning of the first game of the series. In the second 2 games of the series, they didn't hit at all. And the team just hasn't been hitting. It was a problem before they traded Devers, so I don't want to put it all on the Devers trade. It's been an issue. But I'll tell you, if you have a team that's got, I would say before they traded Devers, they were a middling offense. That was a pretty good way to describe it. And you take the heartbeat out of that offense, the best player, the best hitter, the thump, the fear out of that lineup, this is what you get, man. You face the Angels 3 games. You face 2 pitchers that don't necessarily strike fear in you, particularly the first one. And then Kikuchi's pretty good, but when you get that guy in the ropes for 31 pitches in the first inning and he completes 7 innings, I'm sorry, man, that's just embarrassing. And I feel bad because the lineup that they put out there it's a lot of raw talent, you got rookies in the lineup, you've got guys rotating through the 2-hole, and it has not been pretty. The 2-hole has not been productive. The DH position has not been productive. It obviously goes way beyond that, but you're not going to help a middling offense by removing a Rafael Devers. And every time they hit like this, I'm sorry, that's just, I know people, every time I tweet about it, all I hear is move on, move on, move on. I can't move on when you, by choice, it's not like he tore his ACL. You chose to remove that guy out of the lineup. You told the fan base that the team was going to win more games because of it. They were 7-2 in the 9 games before Rafael Devers got traded. They're 3-6 in the games since he got traded. It's just, I don't know what else I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, and I think the frustrating thing is that 3-game set in San Francisco. Yeah, they lost the series, but at least they were hitting. They were scoring runs. They were close games. The offense looked relatively competent with life after Raffy. And then they roll into Angel Stadium and just completely flounder. No one was hitting. Cedon had a good series, but Cedon is... I wonder if the Angel fan base sees Cedon as an Angel killer because he rakes. But
Marcelo
so
too.
Cedon
Marcelo
hit,
had a good
yeah,
series.
and Marcelo. Yep, Marcelo did too. And they just totally flounder. And I think the most frustrating part, to be honest with you, about Sunday was not only did they run Wednesday. Not only did they run the pitch count up on Kikuchi in the first inning, and you're like, okay, good. They have a depleted bullpen. They're going to get to it early. Not only did that not happen, innings 2 through whatever it was, 7, they made him look like Randy Johnson. He racked up 12 strikeouts, throwing 93. So like it was just, they scored in the first. They looked really good. It looked like they were really going to jump him. And then he settled in, and the lineup just could not figure him out. And it was a complete dud of a series. There was literally, outside of Crochet dealing, no bright spot, I would say, in that entire series. The starting pitching outside of Crochet was...
That's the opposite of a bright spot to me. That's what kills me the most. That second game, the third game, I don't know. They may have played their collective worst in the third game, but the second game, you get 7 shut from Crochet, and then you use 20 Chapman bullets. He gets the scoreless inning. You get 8 shut from Crochet and Chapman, and you can't get a win there. Like that the routine waste of these Crochet starts, because like they don't necessarily, like, Crochet goes out there. He's made 17 starts for the Red Sox, and 15 of those starts he's allowed 2 earned runs or less. That is ridiculous. And they don't necessarily win more of the Crochet starts than they do anyone else. The starts they win are the Dobbins starts. And he's on the IL now, but I'm just saying, it's like, when Crochet, like, the offense is already not that good, but when Crochet is out there, it's like, it's almost like they kick their feet up and it's like time to relax. But actually, it's like you need to score more than 1 run. And not only did you waste that, you wasted the first Connor Wong RBI of the year. I manifested it. I tweeted out the clean-shaven Wong and said he was going to get an RBI, and he got the RBI. But Walker fucking Buehler with 7 walks. How many runs did he let up in the first inning? Was it 5?
I think it was 3 walks and 2 hit batters.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. 3 of the runs scored that game on walked-in runs or hit batsmen. Like, you wasted a Connor Wong RBI. That's almost more of a cardinal sin than wasting the Crochets.
That's like losing a perfect game. Losing a game where Connor Wong has an RBI.
Oh God.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that.
Like, there were the 3 biggest disappointments for me in the series were letting Kikuchi get that deep in the game after rattling him in the first, obviously losing the series and the offense and all that. The third biggest disappointment for me is Walker Buehler getting a no decision, because that was fucking awful. That was the worst starting pitching outing. And that's including like Tanner Houck's dud against Tampa Bay. At least Tanner had command and got knocked around. Walker Buehler was giving away runs. That was the worst Red Sox starting pitching outing I have seen in the last 5 years.
Careful there.
And I'm done.
Pat, come on. Houck led in 11 runs?
But he got knocked around.
Yeah, I know.
That being said, I am so over, not even the pity party, but like, the Walker Buehler quotes are just agitating at this point. Like, I suck. This is embarrassing. I was signed to be a vet. Yeah. The first time, you're like, okay, good accountability. The second time, you're like, okay, like, I appreciate it. Let's get... Dude, the third time, it's like, no, dude, you just suck and you're doing nothing to fix it. That's what we're at now.
How many hits do you think Walker Buehler allowed in this outing, Pat?
Dude, it was like 5.
Yeah, try 3.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Like, maybe like, I don't want to believe, because like after the game, and I don't know, maybe he's dealing with something physically. Cora said he wasn't, but Buehler kind of nodded off the question and made it seem like maybe he is. But Cora was like, yeah, the stuff is good. And Buehler's like, ball was coming out of my hand good. Just don't know where it's going. And like, maybe there's something to it with only allowing 3 hits. But guess what, man? Like, I don't know if you can see over your shoulder, but Kyle Harrison, I mean, we're recording this 6:20 p.m. on Thursday night, and he's taken the ball in 10 minutes. Tanner Houck has made 2 rehab starts. I know they've both been brutal, but like yeah. But like, look over your shoulder, man. Like it's. I know Cutter Crawford's out for the year, and like, I mean, I don't know if you thought he was throwing a pitch this year. I'd already kind of thrown in the towel.
Yeah,
but I'm
I
just
was
saying, there's
thinking
guys
like,
coming.
yeah,
Like if he's lucky that the best that they could do if they wanted to not have him start his next game is probably like Criswell or a bullpen game, or maybe use the
yeah.
off day to. But like, are you really like? No, he's making his next start. It's Sunday, and I just with Buehler right now. Yeah, man, I don't have faith in the guy right now. I expect him to go out there, and I'm expecting 5 or more runs, which he's done in 4 of his last 5 starts.
Yeah. Two things. One thing that you didn't even mention was Dobbins going down. Like there may have very well been a conversation if he was healthy. Does Dick Fitz come up? Because he's been that bad. Like his other saving grace was Dobbins getting hurt, and they just needed Fitz up anyways. The other thing I want to do, because he's not here and we're allowed to shit on him, Sammy
Oh, he had some bad takes.
is like wildly optimistic about Walker Buehler. He was
Way
like,
too
this isn't the
optimistic.
guy you give up on. It's not that bad. Sammy, this is awful. Awful. And Sammy listens back to this. We are not going to tell him that we are exposing this awful take. But I almost want to pull quotes. He was like, it's not that bad. You can't give up on him. I still believe. Dude, washed, done. He's done. He is so done. It is literally what Corey Kluber was. That is where we're at with Walker Buehler.
Except that even less of an excuse because Walker Buehler is in still age-wise. Like I know he's had some TJs, but age-wise, he's still in the prime of his career. Yeah, it's a 6.29 ERA. Like, and Pat, to your point, like let's quickly take a look. Like, would it have been a conversation if Dobbins hadn't gone down? I'm trying to see how many whiffs because I know Richard Fitz was not as efficient as he typically is. Why can I not find the whiffs on the Savant page right now? I think it was 15 though. I don't want to misspeak.
It was around that. I believe you're right.
The total I'm seeing. Oh, called strikes plus whiffs is 25. Total whiffs is 15. Okay, I had it right. Yeah, Richard Fitz 15 whiffs in what 5 innings? Did he complete 5?
I think it was 4. I think it was just 4.
Yeah, it was only 4. 15 whiffs in 4 innings. So, yeah, it would have been a conversation. But it's not. But Kyle Harrison, right around July 4th, July 5th. But that gives Walker Buehler 2 more starts. And I mean, we were having this conversation. I think you and I were like, but like you can't. But also like you can't pull him out of the rotation because there's nothing to put in. So it's like they're gonna give him 2 more starts. I don't see them going well. I mean, we're far enough into this thing. He's got an 8+ ERA since coming off the IL. Like,
who does he have next?
He has the Blue Jays.
No, he hasn't pitched in that series. I don't think, does he?
I think he's got Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, so he's got so he's got Blue Jays Nationals, I believe. Then.
Yeah, he'll miss the Reds. He'll get the Nationals.
Yep, and then he won't get the Rockies, which might be a start he would have won.
That'll be a good Kyle Harrison debut. Is give him the Rockies.
Oh, the Rockies. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, save for Buehler, I feel like the bullpen has kind of been the saving grace of this team. And by the way, like if you want to hear about trade deadline stuff, like we are going to get into that back half of this podcast. Jeff Passan dropped an article talking about some of the pieces the Red Sox could be interested in buying and selling. We did a lot of talk about buying on our last podcast. And since then, they've done nothing but lose and push more towards being sellers. So probably we'll lean a little bit towards more of the seller conversation today. But before we get there, I do want to talk about the bullpen because, yeah, I mean, there's guys in that bullpen that you trust. I feel like Chapman is as automatic gets. Whitlock had his first kind of rough outing in quite some time. I still have full trust in him. But Justin Wilson and Greg Weissert both kind of bumping the road for those guys, and it's not that surprising. Like everyone talked about all the usage that Bernie got. Weissert even he's going even more than Bernie, and Justin Wilson's going a lot too, and he hasn't pitched like this in years. So yeah, a little bit scary, and of course we saw Red Sox Twitter's fucking fireball closer Luis Guerrero, who like. Again, like I don't want to make it sound like I don't like the guy. I just don't like that people anointed him before he did anything in this league, and he walks more guys than he strikes out, and like he doesn't look the part of a big league reliever more often than not when he's out there. So hashtag closer Luis. I think Nick Birdie and who else do they have coming? Oh, Jordan Hicks is the one who's coming back. Like,
yeah, I'm excited for Birdie. I really like Birdie.
Where is he? Because he got removed from the Worcester roster. We all assumed that meant he was meeting the team in San Francisco, and it's now been 2 series, and he's not been activated. And like there was legitimate reason to activate him for the third game, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Real quick before we pivot off of closer Luis.
Hashtag making a hashtag Pat closer Luis.
So one thing too about Luis is he notoriously lets multiple runners on, and then a fireman comes in and puts it up before a run scores. So his ERA should be way higher than it is. He is a 3.18. 12 games, 17 innings. He has walked 13 and struck out 10. His whip is over 1.15. His strikeout per 9 is 5.3 as a reliever and a 6.9 walk per 9.
Right.
That is a bad reliever. That is a flat out. Exactly. That is a bad reliever. Like enough.
The thing is, we're not stupid. Like, we see that the guy has, and weirdly, I guess they've had him tone it down a little bit, because when you see him throw, he's throwing 95, 96, 97, and we've seen him hit triple digits. He doesn't do that anymore, and I'm sure it's to try to harness his command. But yeah, I mean, the issue is, even when doing it, I mean, it's a lot of this little sweeper slide, whatever going here. Is this sweeper or slide? I don't know. I don't care. And they're not going to the heat, and he's walking guys anyway. He's not getting swings and misses. He's not striking guys out. But yeah, let's make him the closer, and I'm sure it'll work itself out. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's just sucking because he's not in the closer role.
Right. You know what I mean?
Funny. It's so fish out of water for him to not be closing games out.
Not to make this the Sammy Roast podcast, but that was a take he had about Liam Hendricks a little while back when when Hendricks complained. Sammy was like, just put him in the closer role, and if he sucks, then you kick him to the curb because he said he could do it and go fuck himself. And if he's good, then you threw him into the fire or threw him into the deep end. And he swam. That's what they should do with closer Luis. They should let him close and give Chapman a break, and you'll have your closer of the future, closer Luis Guerrero.
Oh yeah. And Sammy notoriously back in April actually was saying that Chapman was due to implode at any point, and they should have immediately taken him out of the closer role before he blew a save. This is a really fun podcast. This is just shitting on Sammy.
Sammy, get your ass back on this podcast. You have to defend yourself. Do you hear this shit? He can't even defend himself. He's silenced. We've silenced him. We silenced Sammy. In California,
dude.
Yeah. With Raffy Devers.
Oh God, it's just yeah.
Do we want to go into this trade deadline stuff?
Why not, right? Because it just got more confusing this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start there. I assume you're talking about the Breslow quote.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually think that's a good place to start, because when Breslow was on the press conference, the Devers press conference, to talk about the trade, answer questions about the trade, he said, we're buyers. Like, we just because we traded Raffy Devers does not mean we're punting on the season, and we anticipate adding, improving the roster, all that stuff. And the fan reaction, at least that I've seen, has been, why would you say that? Why, like, oh my God, like, why would you say that? Now you're gonna have to buy. Like, what? And he said it again today. And my response is, listen, I mean, yes, they traded Raffy Devers. I do not agree with them trading Raffy Devers. Raffy Devers should be on the Red Sox. But when they traded him, that was not, in their eyes, a punt on the season trade. They traded him thinking that it would help the long-term growth of the kids on this team that they're bringing up right now. Whether that be right or wrong, that was the motivation. They were not punting on the season during their hottest stretch of the season, coming off a sweep of the Yankees. They just weren't punting there. So I agree with them saying what they said. You got to keep this team engaged. Like, you just traded their best player. You got to make sure that they know that you're not giving up on them. So yeah, say you're buyers. And guess what? If they're 2 under 500 right now, they're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. If you get to July 25th and you're 6.5 out of a playoff spot, you're not going to, and like you decide to sell at that point, you're not going to see fans on Twitter and anywhere else they talk about the Red Sox saying he promised us they were going to buy and then he didn't buy. I'll tell you, if they're 6.5 or like 7 or 8 games out of a playoff spot and they bought because they said they were going to buy in June, that would be a problem. Say you're going to buy, keep the team as engaged as possible. You got to make them believe, because the second they sniff that you don't believe in them, the second they sniff that shit, this thing might be going south, that's when it goes south. So like, you got to keep this team engaged, keep this team fighting. And yeah, just because you say it publicly in June does not mean you actually have to do it. It's not a binding contract. Like, there's nothing binding about this. Like, you can say you're going to buy now, and if the team falls out of it, yeah, you can sell. Or you could buy and sell your rentals and trade for a controllable piece. Like, nothing you say actually matters. Like, you can do whatever you want.
I agree. And I expect him to come out and say, yeah, we really fizzled out, we're going to sell? No, of course not. But my thing is, based on how they played since after Rafael Devers, it's becoming more obvious that they should sell, in my eyes. Especially, like, they have way too many holes. Unless they go insane at the trade deadline. Like, I mean, like, 4 legit trades. Unless they do that, they have way too many holes to fill. Right.
What are the holes? Like, on this
I
roster,
would say,
if they were going to buy today, go from most important to least.
Okay. Starting pitching 1. Middle of the order / first baseman 2. Ideally, 2 relievers. That's where I stand on that. So those are the 4.
Is that because, but you're not accounting for the fact that Jordan Hicks is about to, like.
Okay, sure. But my thing is, even with Birdie and Hicks back,
and Slayton at some point, hopefully, we don't know.
I would still prefer a late inning guy.
Maybe a lefty.
Because you have Bernie, who is that poor guy, has been burned to the ground with his usage. Weissert is trending that way. Slayton already trended that way. Justin Wilson is probably the next guy in line to just get abused.
He let up the walk-off homer and
and then
I gotta look up his usage over the years.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, sure. Like, right now, you're an arm short. I think in the long run, if you truly want to contend, you need 2, at least. I would say no, 2. 2 is a good number. Because at that point, let's say you go out and get 2 relievers. You have those 2 relievers. You have Birdie, Hicks. We'll say Slayton doesn't come back. Those 2, the 2 guys you get. Then you have Slayton, you have Hicks, you have Weissert, you have Bernie, you have Wilson, you have Chapman. That is a very good mix. That's
so hold on.
Solid.
Let's back it up. So if you've added a reliever, you've added a starter, you've added a bat. So that's 3 things right there, right?
Yes.
So but the truth is here, they are, and this is another thing that we talked about in the group chat, was I said they are not good enough in any facet of the game right now. They don't hit enough. They don't have enough like top frontline starting pitching, and their reliever short, and the defense isn't good enough. And I want to say either you or I think it must have been Sammy said, yes, but they're not that far away in any of those areas. And he's right. They're not that far away in any of those areas. Like, you just said it right there. Like, if they get that big bat, if they get that front line, like, yes, if they can keep themselves in it at the, like, to the point where they're 3-4 games or fewer out of the postseason race come the trade deadline. Yeah. Like, this team has the space. I don't even want to say space. Like, they traded Rafael Devers' contract and they haven't added salary back. So they should be willing to swallow some salary. That'll allow you to add a bat. They have prospect capital, guys that are blocked, guys like Justinson Garcia, guys like Franklin Arias, guys that we don't know if they're going to have a spot on this team in the coming years, that are blocked, that could trade for a controllable starter. Like, there's avenues to go, but yeah, like, this team can't be 7-8 games out. You can't make those trades if this team is that far out of it. And that's the issue with trading Devers when you did. Like, the offense was, it looks so bad. Because the offense, let's be real, today, it's more than one piece away. Like, today, they are an Alex Bregman away, they are another big bat away, and they're the development of the big 3 prospects away. They're 5 pieces away. But 4 of those pieces are in your organization.
Yeah.
They're just Bregman's on the shelf, Campbell's in AAA, and Meyer and Anthony are in the lineup, but obviously we think they're nowhere close to the final form that they're going to be once they start creeping into their prime. Like, yeah, this team is not like they're playing terrible baseball right now. But it's not like, I see so many people when they lose these games blow it the fuck up. Like, that's what they say to do, is blow it the fuck up. And the truth is, and this is another thing that Sammy said that he was right on, the truth is you just need some patience. And like, I think the frustration comes from the fact that we thought that it was going to be set in stone. Like, this was the year they were going to compete. The kids were going to eventually come up and develop at the big league level, but you had enough veteran talent to sustain winning while those guys go through their growing pains. And the truth is, like, when you trade Rafael Devers, and when Alex Bregman gets hurt, and when Tristan Casas gets hurt, and when Jarren Duran doesn't have the year that he had last year, and a lot of the starting pitchers underperform, like, yeah, it's not the team that we thought we were going to get coming into this year. It doesn't mean that the kids can't develop, and they should still develop, but it just sucks that you can't win while they go through those growing pains. Because when Roman Anthony's hitting in the top 3 in the order, Marcelo is, hitting in the lineup every day. And like, if those guys go over as rookies do, you're getting nothing from your offense.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, the biggest thing right now for me offensively is they don't have anyone in that offense where, like, inning to inning, you're just like, just get back around the order to like such and such. The Narv had a good stretch, but right now, but like, that's my thing though, is like, they have no one where you're like, I can't hear you.
Another rookie, by the way.
Yeah. And but like, my thing, like, they have no one in the lineup where you're like, just get it to him. Like, I trust him. There's no one in the lineup right now that I trust. And sure, Marcelo will get to that point. Roman will absolutely get to that point. But right now, like, Toro's cooled off. Romy and Rob are seeing at bats against right-handers, which isn't great. They've cooled off even a little bit against lefties, not a ton, but a little bit. And then I'm gonna say it. I don't think it's a hot take. I don't even think that Jarren Duran has not been as good. I would say that Jarren Duran has been flat out bad, offensively and defensively. Defensively, I don't know what happened, because he is almost like a liability out there. Like, it's getting bad, because he's a guy whose speed makes up for his bad roots. He's never taken good roots to balls. This year he's getting like turned around a lot on the line drives in the shallow fly balls, which is scary. He's bobbling the ball a lot on transfers for cutoff throws and throws to bases. He's flat out dropping ball. Like, I don't know what happened over the past 6 months, but he is lost in left field. He's striking out at an asinine clip. Like, I would say over the last 10 days, he's probably striking out almost 50% of the time. That's how bad it's gotten. And he's not getting on base. And like, we alluded to it last episode. We talked about the group chat, but like, as a leadoff guy, you cannot have a high strikeout guy who's not getting on base. You cannot do it.
I'm trying to find his strikeouts. So here's his strikeouts by game. I'll read like the last 10. 2-1-1, 0-1-1, 1-0-2-2, 1-1, 2-2-2, 2-2-2. So he went through a stretch while they were winning, actually. He was striking out. He's cut it down a little bit, but I mean, the Angel series was not kind to him in that department. And in terms of the field, yeah, like, he's been a below average defensive left fielder. He's still really valuable on the base pass. I would say he's been like an average player this year, which coming into the season with him as like an MVP candidate kind of guy last year, like, yeah, like that's going to torpedo your season. Were you surprised to hear? So Passan had him as like he ranked his trade candidates, and the Red Sox had the top two, Alex Bregman number 1 and Jarren Duran number 2. It didn't seem like he thought it was particularly likely that Bregman would get dealt. And Robert Murray later that day was like, yeah, no, Bregman's not getting dealt. And then Passan had Duran as number 2. And this is what Robert Murray had to say about Duran. He said, getting him is going to be expensive, even though he's not had the year that he had last year. Then he went on to say, I expect there to be plenty of conversations about Duran. That's a guy I believe has a real shot of going somewhere. Were you surprised? Like, are you surprised that despite his struggles, I mean, we watch him every day, and last year he was the epitome of a difference maker on the field. This year he is very much not stood out. Are you surprised that because Jeff Passan and Robert Murray, two of the most tapped in guys in this sport, were you surprised at all to see that they still think that Jarren Duran has value like that?
So I think it's different conversations, because I think Passan's list, I think Duran being 2 speaks more volumes to the weak class of sellers and the weak class of guys who could be traded. Because, I mean, you have like the Sandy Alcantaras of the world who are like hovering around like a 5 or 6 ERA. You have the Lou Bobs who have had like 2 bad years. You got a couple other guys who are like average to below average starters. So number 2 on the list actually like makes a lot of sense to me. As far as Robert Murray goes, though, I'm surprised that he thinks he has as much value as he does. And believe me, like the appeal from an outside organization, I get it. It's a cost-controlled, past all-star, former top 10 MVP candidate. But like we talk about it pretty often. His whole game is predicated on speed, which he still has. But he's regressing defensively. He's regressing offensively, both in extra base hits and striking out. And a brunt of his value comes from his base running, which does not matter if he's not getting on base, which he hasn't been doing this year. So I get the appeal. I get, sure, like the upside. But it's also, let's not act like Jarren Duran was like a fringe all-star 3 years running, and then he like evolved into last year. He was an average outfielder until that one outlier season last year.
He was good the year before last year. Give him a little more credit.
He was.
2023 was good.
He was good. But like last year, he was flat out phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, age factoring in, if you take out the outlier season, I think he's an average outfielder. So I really truly don't think his value is as much as people think it is. And don't get me wrong, if they do end up moving him, I think they'll get like a decent return on him, just because the cost is so cheap. The control is there. He has somewhat of a resume. Yeah, the potential in the resume is still there. But the fact that whatever you're trading for, you really don't know what you're going to get, I think that really does play a factor in his price. So it's tough. I agree that he'll be one of the better bats moved at the deadline if he is moved, but acting like it's like some crazy package, I just don't see it.
Well, here's the thing, and we have had conversations, and we have had a huge variety of conversations, because like in our group chat, because when we first started, when the Jarren Duran trade rumors, like the first Athletic guy said San Diego checked in. And by the way, Robert Murray seemed to think the Braves were more likely than the Padres. And I've already put together my who says no with Duran and the Braves. I'm going to sit on it for now, and we'll do an episode on that at some point. But the one thing I was thinking about is, and like the conversations that we had when they first started, when those rumors first surfaced, was like Leo DeVries or whatever, however you pronounce his name, the Padres guy, DeVry. He top 3 prospect in the game. The question was, would you deal Duran for him straight up? And lately, it's been like I've been having to argue that I think Duran can fetch more than a controllable reliever, Jeremiah Estrada. I just want you to think about one thing. So give me off the top of your head, who were like the best rentals traded at the trade deadline last year? I'll give you one that came to my mind, but there's definitely better ones. Jack Flaherty was dealt, but there's better.
What do you call it? Kind of went for a haul. Tanner Scott.
Oh my God, great example. You say Kikuchi too.
Kikuchi went for, but that's pitchers. I'm trying to think of position players.
Fair. Yeah.
Like Tucker wasn't moved last year. Alonso wasn't moved. Bregman wasn't moved.
Tucker's a good example though, because you're trading 1 year. Like obviously Kyle Tucker is way better than Jarren Duran. Don't get me wrong. Like he is. But they traded 1 year of Kyle Tucker and they got Cam Smith and Isak Paredes. The Red Sox have 3.5 years of this guy. Like I get that he has struggled, but I genuinely feel like a lot of Red Sox fans are too close to the forest to see the trees on the Duran value. And I think he's going to he may not fetch like this, like, oh my God, those Bleacher Report trade packages where they had teams giving up like 3 out of their 4 top
asinine. Yeah.
Like
Painter. Right.
It's not happening. Yeah, it's not. But like, Pat, do I see a world where if the Red Sox wanted to fully punt on the season and if they wanted to trade Duran, Chapman, and maybe like something else and get an Andrew Painter? Yeah, I think they could do that. Like not necessarily Andrew Painter specifically, but like an elite, like we're going to target that guy kind of player in some team's farm system. Yeah, I think the Red Sox could do that with Jarren Duran, even with his struggles. And to be honest with you, if they're not in it, probably smart to do it. Even if they are in it, if they can get something that can help them in other areas, like even if it's a balance of that plus minor league talent, I think it's probably worth it to do it too, just because it's going to get messy when Massa comes back. Like you've already traded Rafael Devers. Like it's upsetting the locker room or whatever. Like that, all of those things that factor in like belief in the guys, like all of that's out the window now. They have opened up this can of worms where, yeah, like shit can just go down. Shit can hit the fan. And the guys, you've already been through the Devers trade. Like there's nothing that can shock me more than that. So.
Yeah. And I think like I'm looking at the 2023 deadline and it's pretty rare for guys to get traded with that much team control.
No, okay.
Like I can't even find a good comp. Yeah.
You see those in the offseason, but the point I'm trying to make is if rentals are fetching these kinds of packages, like why do people think that 3.5 years of Jarren Duran is not going to fetch a ginormous package? It just is.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that there is a possibility that the 3.5 years could be a negative?
Yeah, there's a possibility because you saw it with Bellinger. Like, but I just don't think. I think Jarren, one thing that he has that others don't is a floor. Like when Tristan Casas doesn't hit, he gives you nothing because he doesn't run the bases well. He doesn't defend well. When Jarren doesn't hit, like yes, he can still be an elite base runner, and like I like to think that the defense should be better than it's been. And I think that a lot of teams probably will see him as an athlete that they can work with and improve defensively, kind of like the Red Sox did last year and the year before. That's one thing that scares me though. Like we talk about the Jarren Duran trade so willy-nilly, but like I guarantee you there are some teams just licking their chops thinking, oh my God, like get this guy this adjustment and we're going to get him right back to that level and have 3 years of an MVP. And if the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts, traded Rafael Devers, and now trade Jarren Duran, and he turns into, if he reaches anywhere close to that ceiling, like, yeah, that's the type of shit that costs you your job. Like the Rafael Devers trade, I feel like is not a job coster because ownership signs off on that. Ownership saves money, all of that. If you trade Jarren Duran and he turns into what he was last year, that'll cost you your job.
Yeah. I agree. But one trade that came, or one guy that kind of came to mind in terms of like control and all that kind of stuff, when Justin Upton got traded by the Diamondbacks to the Braves, I just remember him having it was. So they got Martin Prado, Rendell Delgado, Zeke Spruill, Nick Ahmed, and Brandon Jury. So I think
a lot of those guys at the time were big names.
Yeah, well, Martin Prado was established.
Yeah.
Ahmed was like a defensive first prospect. Brandon Drury was like a
good
so
prospect. Delgado was
Yeah.
a dude.
So like right now, I think the likely package is a little bit higher than I was thinking the other day. I don't think it's some blockbuster, but I think it is some form of playable major league fielder, a top 60 to 100 prospect, maybe a reliever, and a lottery ticket prospect. That's where I think it is right now.
You know what I think? You know what I think they would get? I think if they found the right package, you could get. I think you could get maybe what they would target: a major league reliever, a top 100 offensive prospect, a starter with a high ceiling. I'm basically naming the Rafael Devers package without even knowing it. The Rafael Devers package, but imagine if Jordan Hicks was like young, cost controlled, and not expensive.
Yeah.
Like, and that like I know it sounds like a schlubby package because everyone shat all over the Devers trade, but the truth is, like, if you can get 3 dudes with legitimate potential for Jarren Duran, and you're out of it and you're going to trade him in the offseason anyway, like, yeah, it's something that maybe you should look into doing. And the goal really with all of this has to be stacking up assets to make a run at a controllable starter over the winter. Whether this team finds it or not, like, I don't know if that controllable starter, like, if they stay in it, they need to add a starting pitcher, but I feel like that's going to be a rental, and then the offseason is when you make the plunge for controllable
I agree.
thing.
Yeah.
So, like, you need, like, having a guy like James Tibbs in the Devers trade, like, James Tibbs doesn't fit on this roster. Like, guys would, like, obviously, like, maybe there's a path for him to get called up at some point, but, like, it's not like with Meyer and Anthony where it's like, okay, this spot is there for you when you're ready. Like, that's not going to be there for James Tibbs. That's not going to be there for Yastingson Garcia. It's not going to be there for Mikey Romero. It's not going to be there for Franklin Arias. Like, these are guys that you can sink into a controllable starter when the time comes for that. Pat, before we final thought on this, and then I want to get into the Bregman extension stuff before we do enough said.
Yeah.
You have any last thoughts on the Duran
No.
stuff?
No.
Okay, so I guess I'll just come out and ask you then. What did you make out of the report? Tim Healy, Boston Globe, talked to Scott Boras, who said that Alex Bregman, like, and his wife, they love it in Boston, and, you know, if the Red Sox approach them about ripping up that contract that they've got with the opt out and signing something longer term, like, they would listen. What did you make of that?
Yeah, well, I always thought the biggest hurdle between any kind of restructure and extension was going to be the Boras thing. I truly thought that he was going to be, you know, kind of like the devil on the shoulder, talking in his ear, saying, you know, how much money you can get on an open market. But the fact that we know that he's willing to listen and that he loves it here, and, like, everyone knows he loves it here.
How lucky are we that he loves it here?
I know, right? But I think getting clarification and confirmation that he's willing to listen, I think that's, like, the biggest box they needed to check, because now on the Red Sox end, you have no excuse not to approach him. You have the money to do it. There's no reason it shouldn't get done. And then, as sick and twisted as it is, it's probably good for both teams, because the Sox now need a veteran leader since they traded Raffy. And then on the flip side, there is no man on planet Earth who is more aware of the leverage Alex Bregman has right now than Scott Boras.
Yeah. The thing was, to me, like, I got excited when I first saw it, but then I remember in my mind, like, I've always thought, like, I mean, you need no more evidence that Alex Bregman loves it here and, like, would want to be here long term than how this offseason played out, where he basically waited around until the second he got a palatable offer from the place he wanted to go, and he took it. My biggest hurdle, I feel like, is the Red Sox. I mean, they didn't approach him when he was injured, which teams, they do that when guys are injured and maybe vulnerable, you know, approach him about an extension, lock in some money. They didn't do that. They were not willing to go 6+ years with Bregman in the offseason. I like to think that with Devers out the door and the money freed up, they'll do it. But it's one of those things where, like, I'm not going to necessarily be surprised if they do it, but I do need to see them do it to believe it, because that's not something they were willing to do a year ago. Obviously, you could say what has changed. Everything has changed. He's crushed it in Boston, and he's cemented himself as a leader and a mentor to these younger kids. Then they literally just traded Rafael Devers because he wasn't that. And Bregman is that, and you're going to let him go? No. So it is something they need to do, but to me, yeah, like it would be more of a note in my eyes that if the Red Sox had approached Bregman about it rather than Bregman is willing to listen. That's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I think one thing that is worth mentioning on the Boris front is as far as pre-free agency extensions, meaning like coming off a rookie deal, Scott Boras is a bastard. In the free agent market, Scott Boras is a bastard. Historically speaking, once a guy secures his money, his track record's actually pretty decent at working out extensions.
Except with Xander, but that was the Red Sox fault.
Xander was different. But like guys who truly want to be somewhere, I mean, so Matt Chapman did it last year. That was a guy who I think could have made a pretty good payday in the free agent market. He signed like during the playoffs or the last week of the regular season. The other one, probably the more important one, is do you remember the whole ordeal between Scott Boras and the Yankees when he said, if you do not give us this $, we're going to opt out? This is like 2004, 5.
What you're saying sounds reminiscent of the Garrett Cole thing.
Yeah, not that. A-Rod. It was a huge thing.
Oh, yeah. They did it during the World Series, right?
Yes, yeah. So it was this huge thing. If you do not meet this number, Alex is opting out, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Alex wanted to be a Yankee. Alex wanted to be in New York. It got figured out. Garrett Cole last year. He was going to exercise it. Extension. Chapman could have made good money. Extension. So the fact that Bregman truly wants to be here and is willing to listen, I think does speak volumes to how likely it is that he does stay here.
Well, Pat, you also got to remember the truth is like these agents, like, yeah, big bad Scott Boras, they work for the player. So if the player's prior, and like Xander, his first extension with the Red Sox, Boras never would have signed that, but it was Xander said that's what he wanted. So Scott Boras got it done. So if Bregman's priority is remaining in Boston, that's what's going to happen. But if his priority is getting the top dollar, then like we'll see. And it sounds like he really wants to stay in Boston. Does that necessarily mean it's his priority? I don't know. So it's gonna be something. I mean, I feel like you're just gonna have to wait and see at the All-Star break and see if it comes up then. If it doesn't come up then, it's something that they're not going to talk about until the end of the year. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best odds of them getting it done is around the All-Star break. Because you got to think, too, he's likely still going to be out. So he'll be at home during the All-Star break. And that's, Gordo, you know it as good as I do. That's when the Sox seem to approach guys for extensions.
Alex Cora.
When they're hurt, when there's downtime in the season, it's not like their workshop extensions are red hot. Typically, I mean, yeah, Crochet was
that was basically a preseason extension though.
Yeah, it was. But like that's my thing is like it's preseason, All-Star break when they're hurt. They haven't done it when they're hurt, so it's probably going to happen during the All-Star break.
Or it's not going to happen at all, and we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, the most likely scenario I feel like is it happens in the offseason or like he leaves or whatever. Like more likely than not, this is not going to get figured out in season. But I hope it does. Do you disagree?
I do.
Ooh,
I think it gets done. I think it gets done in July.
All right. I hope you're right, Pat. I hope you're right. Do we want to do enough said before we get out of here? I can go first because mine is like I wouldn't call it somber, but it's not like kick rocks and peace to Wander Franco, who got convicted today as we record for having a relationship with a 14-year-old.
14-year-old, yep.
Yeah. So he got sentenced to 2 years in prison, but it's a delayed sentence. I don't really understand the optics of that or like what the point of that is, but basically him being convicted is going to make it pretty much impossible for him to get a work visa in the US. So I don't know if we're ever going to see that guy play another game. So
no.
Au revoir, right? Is that goodbye? Au revoir?
Au revoir. I think fuck off would be better though.
Okay, fuck off and au revoir. and fuck off. But yeah, that was it's crazy that the one guy the Rays decided to pay happened to be the guy who knew what he was doing and was like, yeah, I don't care that it's wrong. I need to have this relationship with a 14-year-old. Generational bag fumble for Wander Franco. Hundreds of millions of dollars down the drain because he had to have a relationship with a 14-year-old.
But I got a quick one too.
Yep.
Kyle Harrison is wearing number 11 for his rehab outing.
Oh, no, he's not.
Yeah, he's wearing number 11. And I love that. That's not an accident. Like, I love that. That's sweet.
That, to be honest with you, like, I love 11. 11, I don't think he wore it with the Red Sox, but I loved 11 because Rajai Davis wore it at some point. And then Raffy, I loved Raffy, and Raffy wore it. But 11 is way more of a pitcher number to me. It is.
Yeah, Sticks. Oh, Sticks. Tall pitcher. Oh, yeah.
I was 11 in high school. They called me Say, here we go, Sticks.
Yeah.
What, Sticks?
That'd be sick if he came up to the bigs and wore 11. That'd be sweet.
What's good, Sticks?
Oh, that'd be so good. Kyle Sticks.
Kyle Sticks. Give me some. Nope, not going to say that. All right, that's going to do it for episode 230 of Play Tessie. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, before you get going, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We will, what day tomorrow's Friday? So you're listening, drop day is Friday, which means we'll be back in your ears on Monday. So subscribe so you get that notification. Rate 5 stars. Find us on WEI's YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up on all of our videos, which are in the Play Tessie playlist there. Find us on the socials at Play Tessie on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. For Pat, for Joe producing, Sammy will be back. Maybe I don't know if he's going to be back for the next podcast, but
we'll see.
He'll listen to this and he'll text us his defense, and we'll take advantage of him again on the next podcast. But for Pat, for Joe, it's Gordo here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 230. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.